Good morning, everyone. It is a little past 6 a.m. here in Kansas, and I am going to do our Quantum Life live channeled Q&A. Some really good questions. I've only read the first two just briefly, just to make sure I had enough time. My little guy over there is sleeping, so he's not a morning person, thank God. And so you guys can watch the sunrise together, maybe, depending on where you are. Maybe where you are somewhere in the afternoon. And welcome to wherever you are in the world. Good morning. I'm going to get started with the questions. Thanks for giving me an extra day or so to deal with my my life. I mean, everybody has life that's going on. So, and good morning, Gail. All right, so feel free also to put some questions in. I don't think we'll have a time limit. I think we're good for the next hour or so plus, and we'll go from here. So the first question, it comes from Marie, or I'm sorry, that was, where do you put questions? Suzette. Jessica, I do not like my job and try to be positive, and I know that it's temporary, but do not think it's hindering me by staying there, and I do think it's hindering me staying there and not doing what I love, or is it holding me back from doing what I love because I need money? Okay, so this is the total paradoxical human question, and I think that every single person that's been in a medical journey has probably had this question. It's like you're in a job, you need the money, you know that it's causing your vibration to not be who you are. So you're at your crossroads where it's like you can't walk away from the job in 3-dimension because you have a 3-dimensional paycheck that you need to pay 3-dimensional bills, but it doesn't resonate with you. It doesn't feel like you. It actually feels like the job might be taking you away from who you are. I think that every single one of us on this journey has felt that at some point, where we're doing something that isn't in alignment with who we are, but we have to keep playing out that story until we line up with a different story. So first and foremost, this is where you're going to have to get really, really good at creating your reality in your old reality. And I actually have a podcast called How to Create Your New Reality in Your Old Reality. And the reason why is because your entire reality is built on your belief systems. So if we were going to look at belief as the fabric that your brain processes its entire virtual reality through, then in order for your essence to create a totally new reality, you have to believe in different things. You have to believe in different ways, which means that you have to start believing that the universe is providing your paycheck and not your job. You have to start changing your belief that money does not come from a resource of one, it comes from the resource of all. And until you shift those belief systems, you have to show up and do and play the game that you've created, because it's literally like you have created this game and you don't realize that you made the rules and you set the stage, and you created the characters, and you created the job, and you created all those things, and now you're playing it out, and now you have risen in your awareness, so you rise above that creation, and you're going, okay, this doesn't resonate, and I want to be over here, and I want to play this game, and I want to do this, and I want time, and I want freedom, and all the while you're still very rooted in the belief system of how this game works. Because reality is just virtual reality. It's not real. This is a dream. You are literally embodying a dream that feels like it's consistent, even though it's not consistent. It's jumping all timelines, time, space, parallel realities, and it feels consecutive because of the way that your microcomputer, this microcomputer of the macrocomputer, functions and processes data. So it feels like it's happening linearly, but really how it's happening is every time you have a thought and a choice, you're jumping around the universe and you're bringing back data, but you're not solidifying that data as truth. You're bringing back data and then looking at the data that you've already collected and going, oh, that's true. And so then you download that game and you play that game, and it happens in less than a second. So your reality, your job, your life, your issues, all of everything that's going on with you right now, with all of us, not you, just all of us, is created through our virtual reality game that we have created. Now, we created this game from a defaulted unawareness, lack of clarity place. So what our job is to do is when we're playing this game and we rise above this game and we realize that we don't want to play that game anymore, we have to kind of take responsibility for the rules that we've created, the belief systems that we've got running, the programs that we've got running, and we've got to start clearing those belief systems, which means that we have to start asking ourselves questions like, well, what would it be like for me to be able to leave this job? What would it feel like to not be here? Because as soon as you ask a question, your brain is a problem solver. I mean, that's why when you have 15 wonderful things going on and one negative thing going on, your brain is hyper focused on the negative, because your brain is designed to problem solve and regenerate reality. Problem solve and regenerate reality. It is your higher level of consciousness or your awareness or your higher self that is even asking the question, what if? The questions of, what am I doing here? What's the purpose of this? Why do we have to deal with money? Why do we have to deal with these silly jobs? And I mean, it roots in the initial game. And when I do this this de-ascension, re-ascension webinar that I'm getting ready to do on March 30th, I'm going to explain how collective consciousness was even created, because collective consciousness is a frequency, and it is the matrix. And the matrix is like this grand, huge belief system that is a very loud frequency that literally covers the planet. And our job is to rise even above what collective consciousness believes, because collective consciousness believes that, you know, it's responsible to go to a job, to earn a paycheck, to pay the bills. We're technically in more evolved, comfortable slavery. That is what's going on. And so if you're going to rise above it and become a master of anything, you've got to first and foremost go, okay, where am I believing in this idea? And what would that take for me to change? And the only thing that I can tell you is that there's several ways that you can change belief systems. First and foremost, that you can look at your life as only belief systems and stop making it so solid. When you make something so solid, it reconstructs itself very dense and more solid. When you feel trapped, the universe brings you more feelings and more opportunities and circumstances and people to reinforce that belief system. Matter of fact, if you've noticed, is when you start wanting to leave the job, that's when the extra debt starts to show up. Or, you know, you get hurt and you need to go to the doctor and it costs you money. Or it's almost like as soon as you have the desire that's anywhere outside of the belief systems that you've created, you notice that you start actually creating more problems in that original game for yourself, because now you're in a contradiction of your own belief system. So that's usually when people are like, oh, I'm gonna attract more money. I'm gonna attract more money. Well, down here, they have a belief system that I don't have enough money. So when they rise above that and they start saying, I'm gonna attract more money, it's like this magnet that's like pulling them in an opposition. And now all of a sudden you start manifesting like that you really need more money, and it's really obvious that you don't have enough money. And that's usually when people start getting really trapped in their jobs, because it's not, you don't feel trapped in your job unless you're noticing that you're trapped in your job. And you don't actually you're not suffering at all unless you're aware that you're uncomfortable. So suffering actually comes from a desire from a higher level and being stuck in a reality that you've created. That's what suffering is. And so what you have to do is say, okay, I created this reality, I created this job, this no longer has resonance with me, I've risen above this particular game, this job, this reality, and now for me to generate a new reality, I have got to build that new reality in my old reality, which means that you have to use your 4 and 5 and 6D tools, which is your desire, which is your visualization, which is your imagination, which are very different, by the way, your intention, And then once you actually get to intention, the ball starts to roll automatically, and the divine universe starts to take up and pick up and start to create the new fabric for your new reality. And so basically it works like this. You've created this reality. First and foremost, you have to accept, I created this. And you have to say, I created it, but I created it from a place of being unaware, because then that kind of takes that question, well, why would I create this? And why would I create a job that I don't love? And why would I create these people? And we've all asked ourselves those questions. But the point of it is we did, because we are creators. We are creator gods in human form. And we are master creators, which means that when we're not in human form, we're creating the universe. And so now we've slowed our vibration down to the point where we're having to create matter through time and space, which is definitely its own unique level of suffering. But it's also very fun from a soul's perspective once you actually learn how to manipulate energy and create the game. So the game works like this. You've created a reality from being unaware. You've created, and how you've created the reality is basically when you're unaware, you tap into collective consciousness's reality. You tap into the matrix's reality, and you download that hardware, you download that software, and you play out that game. So when you rise above that matrix and go, okay, this doesn't feel like who I should be anymore, then you've got to say, okay, so what I have to do is I have to get my energy away from collective consciousness. I have to be able to hear my own frequency, because if I can hear my own frequency, then I can give that signal to the universe instead of being tapped into collective consciousness. And I can start pulling and aligning myself with a reality that is more conducive of who I am inside.